Today is the 70th anniversary of D-Day, the largest military air, land, and sea operation ever. More than 5,000 ships, 11,000 planes, and more than 150,000 servicemen stormed the beaches of Normandy, France. That decisive battle foreshadowed the end of World War II.
I had the privilege this week of talking to Austin veterans that served in that war. Here's what I learned from Miller Hicks, who was 19 years old, a Navy ensign serving in the Pacific when he got word of the Normandy invasion. Did you realize at the time when you got word how big of an impact it would have on the war?
I don't know that we did. The war had been going on, and of course we'd already lost a lot of family and friends, and I think it was kind of after the fact. We didn't realize what the massive size of that thing was. That invasion was huge, so it never entered our mind that it would be that big and that important. As
Time went on, you were part of a delegation that got to be part of the dedication ceremony.
And one day in the office, I got a call from his aide, and he said, the president wants you to be a member of his presidential delegation going to Normandy to dedicate the Battle of Normandy Museum. And I thought, well, that sounds great. We got there, and I found out that this guy that I'd heard so much about and never served under him, Admiral John Buckley, was the only other naval officer, and so he thought I was being sent along as an aide. So he'd always say, Hicks, where's my luggage? Hicks, where we're supposed to go, and Hicks, where to do that. So we got there on D-Day. This is some 40 years after the fact. We got there, and it was very impressive. All the Allied nations had their honor guard there, and it was raining, and Buckley always wanted me standing beside him, and so we were standing there, and it's pouring down rain, and it was a very emotional time. And all of a sudden, he looked up at me, and I saw tears running down his eyes. Now, that's an admiral with tears running down his eyes. And he said, Miller, will you do something for me? And it's the first time he ever called me by my first name. And I said, Admiral, I'd damn near do anything for you. He said, well, there's a curved wall around the pavilion, and their names engraved on that wall, and there are 214 of my men whose bodies are out there at sea. They're never able to find them. So it was a very emotional experience, and we went back again, and it's, if you haven't been to Normandy, the museum is fantastic. Interesting thing, they have a sort of surrealistic man in the middle of this pavilion, and it's dedicated to American youth. I thought that was pretty impressive.
When you look at the beaches of Normandy and you think about the scope and the size of the mission and what they had to do, is it just unfathomable?
While you're looking at the beach, you can just visualize what it must have been like. I just admire those guys so much. You know, I've been in the service in 2 wars, but I'm not a hero. I think a hero to me are those who paid the ultimate price, those who were wounded and came back injured in body and mind, and those that were in harm's way a lot longer than I was. Now, they're my heroes.
Mr. Hicks lives in a retirement community called Westminster, where 25% of the residents are veterans. He formed the Westminster Veterans Corps as a way for them to share their stories and camaraderie.